We got one left.
I'm going to save Kevin for last, but I want to get to Debbie in New England. Thanks for waiting through that tirade. How are you?
Hi, Debbie.
No, I want the transcript of that tirade.
You can have it.
I want to memorize it so I can use it.
I'm too lazy to do it, but somebody might.
Oh, my gosh. Listen, I love you guys, and I thank you for bringing life to my boring Sunday nights here in New England, because since I found you, I just have you guys have brought me a level of comfort that is just, I don't know, it's just very nice to have after growing up not religious and feeling kind of like odd about it, but you've given me this level of being able to, stand up for myself and say, hey, I'm an atheist. I don't believe, but I do believe in kindness and I do believe in goodness, and I can hold your hand and I can give you a hug.
Amen.
Congratulations.
But the thing I did want to ask you about, so the reason I found you was because, I'm getting emotional. I've become a little entrenched in religion over the last couple of years. I've had, my youngest son went to school in Utah, and guess what happened?
I don't have to guess. It's in the notes, but I'll let you say it.
Yeah, he became a flipping Mormon. And so after 2 years of school, he quit, and now he's on a mission in Australia, and he's starting his second year. And it has just been so difficult for me, and I'm not understanding why something supposedly so good, religion, can bring so much pain to people. This son, my youngest one, we were so close. He would talk to me all the time, and now it's just really difficult. And I feel like, Matt, I heard you on Talk Heathen earlier today, and you said, that you didn't even talk about religion until your family realized you were an atheist.
Oh, we talked about it. It's just the amount of talking specifically about religion amped up considerably.
Right. And I kind of feel like it's like that with my son. He can call me once a week from Australia. Sometimes he calls once a week, sometimes once every other week.
How old is he?
And I feel he's 21. And I feel like, you talk about truth. What's true? And I feel like, the mama bear. I want to poke the bear. And it's the elephant in the room for me. I want to talk about the religion, and I want to ask him and the questions, because I have kind of studied this religion at ad nauseum. And he doesn't really want to talk about it. He knows everything. He's got an answer for everything. He's got the script down. And the last time we spoke, I said to him, I love you so much. I said, and I'm here for you. I said, but I think for my health right now, I need to disengage for a while, because it's just too painful for me in my head when we hang up to digest really what he's doing there. And so I guess I thought I had read somewhere, Matt, that you, I don't know, had a podcast, or you had some something on how to talk to people who are not on the same page as you. And you said earlier, we just need to cultivate a language that we all can understand. And I guess I just want to know how to do that. If you can offer anything on that.
So first of all, don't panic. And don't look at your son as if, don't dismiss it as going through a phase or anything else. He has some reason for why he believes. And the thing is, he may not even be aware of what the reason is. Because one of the things, most religious people don't have a good understanding of what they believe or what actually convinced them of it. In your son's case, as a somewhat late convert to Mormonism, I don't know how common that is, because I find Mormonism to be like the most absurd of the standard-ish religions. I mean, it's not as absurd as Scientology, but it's up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there can be so many different reasons that someone could believe. Maybe they're they're hurting or suffering from something. Maybe they were confused about something. Maybe the teachings gave them some measure of joy or some measure of comfort, or gave them the notion that they have the answers, or gave them ability to be comfortable with not necessarily knowing the answers. Has he told you in any simple sense what it was that convinced him?
No, he really hasn't. No, he hasn't.
So,
I think it's the community. It's the sense of community.
That may be. One of the things is when you say, when you're done talking to him, you're like, you need to take a break from this. I would say don't take a break from your son. Take a break from discussing the religious stuff at all. Talk about the other things, the things that you guys share in common, what's going on. And if all he wants to talk about is that, then okay, you got to draw lines where you draw lines. And he's an adult, and he gets to make his own decisions. And if you just continue being the parent who loves and cares about him, who is open to some things, but draws a line at other areas, in much the same way that I don't need anybody to ever call into this show ever again to say that slavery is morally acceptable, ever. Mm-hmm. And I would imagine in the foreseeable future, unless I'm just in a mood, anybody who calls in to try to say that call will be as short as the last couple. Because there are better things to spend time on than something that is so obviously immoral and false. With your son, you talk about him, he has the answers to stuff, he knows the scripture and everything else. That could be an incredibly comforting thing, because I hate to do this because I'm going to get letters, but people wonder why there are so many who have become kind of like acolytes of Jordan Peterson, when I'm completely unimpressed with the things that he says. To the extent that they're true, they're trivial. Everything from him is a deepity. To the extent that it's true, it's trivial, and to the extent that it's significant, it is not true. Mm-hmm. But people want and are comforted by the notion that there is a right path to take, that there are answers to all the things that are difficult to me. And when anybody, gives the appearance of being able to do that, that can draw someone out of their floundering, aimless existence. Now their life has a purpose because they couldn't find a purpose on their own, or they didn't think that it was even possible for us to create our own purpose or meaning. Somebody's given them a purpose. Somebody's essentially said, hey, here's the thing you've been looking for. And as long as they can present it in a way that is reasonable to some extent and feels good, there are many people who are going to go along with it. This is a survival tactic of religion in general. It is how cults form, and maybe I'll get Telltale on here sometime to talk a lot more about cult mentality.
Yeah.
But my best recommendation is for you to be the parent that lets a kid know you love them, you're there for them, and if they can tell you why they believe, and more importantly, perhaps why you should believe, that would be of interest, but that you're not interested in being preached at, and that you don't agree with their religion, but that doesn't mean that your son is any less valuable to you. And as long as we can have conversations on a level that is not all about your religion, I'm happy to do that sort of thing. I have friends who would email me and say, my niece and nephew are being raised by people who are in this extreme fundamentalist, religion, and I worry, and how should I talk to them? And my answer to them has been fairly consistent, which is don't worry, don't panic. I was in that, found my way out. And what I do with other people's kids is I don't talk to them about God, and I don't talk to them about religion. I try and encourage a sense of wonder and a sense of discovery and inquiry, so that if some kid comes to me and says, how does this work? I would never just say, I don't know. I'd say, I don't know, but let's see if we can find out. And also getting comfortable with the notion that there are some things we're just not going to know right now. Mm-hmm. Doing those things, teaching people how to think, and letting them know that you are somebody who actually cares about them, is probably going to go a lot further than trying to have religious debates, particularly if one or both parties aren't really equipped to argue the facts or spot the fallacies or things like that. People can say all day long that Matt's encouraging a fallacious emotional appeal. No. What I'm advocating is humanism. I'm advocating that we need to be for each other the things that religions have tried to pretend to be for us. I don't know, maybe he wanted a free trip to Australia. I mean, that could be cool.
I can't imagine because he's so restricted in what he can do there.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that's the reason.
But he is going to get some good experiences out of this. And if he does manage to find his way out of Mormonism, which there are lots of them, they're called ex-Mormons, they're called Formans.
Oh.
There are websites devoted to those. And I would recommend that you Google ex-Mormon and find some of those websites and find the talks. We've had ex-Mormons on the show before. Find the talks that they've given to explain what kept them in it, what convinced them, and how they went about finding out it was wrong, so that you're better equipped to have those discussions when they come up, because they're going to come up no matter how many times you say, I don't want to talk about that.
You know, I did 2 summers ago, I was in Houston for a seminar that a guy who helps people coming out of Mormonism held. And I met 40 lovely, wonderful people who were ex-Mormons, and lovely, lovely people. And it was very helpful. But I think what struck me, and the ages were like from 30 to 70, but I guess what struck me as a mom, the hurt that these people were going through, the devastation that they realized what they had been told their whole life wasn't true. And I guess for me, when I talk with him and I poke the bear, so to speak, I think that's what's at the bottom of it, is that I don't want to see him go through that kind of hurt, because I don't think he even has a clue what he's really involved in yet.
Can I share something extremely personal with you?
Please.
So I am right now that kid with the parents who have completely opposing views to me, right? I deconverted about a year ago, and since then I can count how many conversations I've had with both of my parents, because it's too much for them. Because they care so much about me, and they truly believe that I'm on the path to hell, and they are so concerned for my soul that they're ignoring me. And I had the last phone conversation that I had with one of my parents. It ended because I asked, can we talk about something other than, Thomas Aquinas' proofs or your reasons for believing in a God and why that should convince me? And I said, can we talk about anything else? And they said, no, this is too important. And they got off the phone, and now we don't talk, because I understand. That's the last thing I got from from my dad was, we can't talk about anything else. So it sounds to me like they're choosing the religion over me, which, I mean, that's going to create an even bigger wedge. Like, I'm not going to listen to you definitely now, because you're showing me how little you value our relationship, because I'm willing to have a relationship with you regardless of whether you say yes or no, I believe that or not, because it's not as important to me that you don't believe in a God as it is that I know that you love me. Does that make sense? So it hurts me more that we can't talk about anything else.
No, and and this is the thing that is kind of I'm kind of ashamed of, is that he's the one who said to me the last time we talked, he said, Mom, I don't want to lose our relationship, and I'm willing to put this religion aside when we talk so that we can just have our relationship and talk about other things. And it's just sometimes me who can't do that.
And I understand, and you have to take care of yourself. I think that I can relate to him.
Yeah.
And just because he believes it now doesn't mean he has to believe it forever. And if you can develop a relationship where maybe sometime in the future, maybe he feels like he can open up to you and he can answer questions and he can feel safe and not bombarded with truth or, logic thinking, maybe then you can have a conversation that means something to him, and you can say, oh, well, yeah, my mom said this. But if you start off with, this is what we have to talk about because I love you so much, that's not going to help, in my opinion.
And the thing that you expressed that you feel guilty about, the fact that you feel guilty about it, the fact that you are willing to consider that there might be better ways to go about this, you're doing all this because you love your son.
Right. And I'm sure he knows that.
Yeah. And so for now, keep going down that path. And if he's willing to have conversations with you that don't involve the religion, oh my gosh, have him. Have him.
They don't have to be long.
Blue in the face. Talk to him for a year straight on the phone, nonstop, about everything but religion, and maybe the religion stuff will go away. But even if it doesn't, even if forever, for the rest of your life, your son believes this thing which you have a problem with, at least you will maintain a relationship with each other that you guys both care about.
Right.
Don't beat yourself up, though.
I'm trying not to. It's just been so devastating, though. It's been very, very hard for me to really swallow this, because he kind of did it and never told me about it, that he did it. You know, it was never a conversation. He just came home one weekend and said, "Oh, by the way, I was baptized."
I pretty much did the same thing to my parents. I didn't talk to them while I was doing it. I was just like, "Oh, by the way, I found out I'm an atheist, and now I want to know why you believe." And so I kind of came at them like that, and my mom kind of, whoa. And
that's a shell shock way of dealing with it. And it's not surprising that the relationship is strained at this particular moment in time, but give it some time.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's the thing, is they're still my parents, and even though it kind of stinks right now, I don't know what it's going to look like in a year. I don't know what it's going to look like in 10 years. I don't know, but I'm going to hold out and say, you know what, maybe they'll change their minds. And I'm just going to be open to that and say, until then, I'm not going to talk to them.
Yeah. All right. Well, I thank you very much.
Thank you, Debbie.
Appreciate your
Thank
time. Yeah. Thank you. Listen, you know what? My sister lives in Houston, and I come there. I used to live. You guys make me want to move back to Texas. I'm coming next summer to meet you guys.
Okay.
Awesome.
We look forward to it, and I want to hear what's happened in the interim.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much, Debbie. I'm actually going to stop there. Kevin, stay on the line, and I'll take it as an after